So during this hour, if you give $100 or more, you're the first person to do that, you are going to be given a book called Be Not Troubled. It's a 6-day personal retreat with Father Jean Pierre de Caussade. I may have messed that up. I apologize, but it sounds like a wonderful book. I would love to read it myself. The book is by Jeffrey Kirby, and this is compliments of Highland and Huguenin. They are owners and funeral directors of Hayes Memorial Chapel here in Hayes. So that goes to the first person who calls in with a $100 donation or more. As I said, you're listening to the Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We started this morning with matching funds of $21,250, and we still have 15,900 of those left. Those matching dollars mean that if you give 1, 5, 100, 500, whatever you give, it immediately gets matched, so your donation becomes doubled. So let's use up those funds. That's what people give them for. Also, if you go on to dvmercy.com, you can see that thermometer is going up, and right now I think we're sitting at about $15,590.59. And so we are trying to move that thing up towards our final goal of $125,000 at the end of the week. Please join us in our mission and help us to get there. I really want to thank, before we get into our next interview, the wonderful people at Hickok Steakhouse. They provide us lunch during our care-a-thons. They're wonderful people there. They have great food. In fact, I may have eaten so much that I'm going to need more coffee to keep me awake. They have hand-cut steaks, salmon fillets, made from scratch soups and rolls. They have an extensive wine list. You can even have banquet seating in there for 40. They've got a large menu and a very unique experience in a Western atmosphere. The owners there, Greg Whitehair, Damon Hoare, and owner and manager Oscar Runyon treat us so well, and we thank them for that. We ask that you guys would support them also. Thanks once again to Hickok Steakhouse for providing us lunch. Okay, during this care-a-thon of our spring care-a-thon, come follow me, you can call in and give us a pledge at 785-621-4110, 785-621-4110. You can also call that number to answer our trivia questions. And as we're starting up with the noon hour here, I'm going to start with a question, and then we will get to our next guest. So remember, call 785-621-4110. All right, here we go with our trivia question. The 12 o'clock question is, what language was the Acts of the Apostles written in? Is it A, Latin, B, Hebrew, C, Aramaic, or D, Greek? What language was the Acts of the Apostles written in? Latin, Hebrew, Aramaic, or Greek? 785-621-4110 for your guess or your donation or both. Looking forward to get those phones ringing. Now, I have the pleasure of bringing on Melanie Logger. So Melanie is a parishioner of St. Martin of Tours in Seguin, Kansas. She graduated from Benedictine College with a bachelor's degree in mass communications and a minor in theology. That's where she met her husband, Kevin. She and Kevin live on their family farm with their children, Jude. Is it Rock, Melanie, or Rope?
Yes, Rock.
Okay. Jude, Rock, Blaze, Margaret Mary, Killian, and Clement. Wow, that is awesome. She helps homeschool her children and is active in her parish, 4-H, and many other programs. How are you doing today, Melanie?
Great. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, it is absolutely wonderful to have you on. And I understand that you're an aunt to Michael. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. We love Michael.
Yes. I wish I could say this. No, I'm kidding. I had him as a student. Great young man. It's wonderful to have him here on the Divine Mercy Radio team. So it's great to have you on the program. So I think today we have you in because you're going to talk about the church there in Seguin that, as I understand, was recently renovated and kind of how you got involved with it. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so maybe to start us off, how did you first come to be involved at St. Martin's?
About 10 years ago, we moved back. I say back because my husband, Kevin, is from this area. He grew up in the Angelus Church, really beautiful church. Also, it's being renovated. It's almost done too. That's definitely a church to check out. But when we moved back, we were just kind of going to each parish and seeing just what they had in the area. And when we came to St. Martin's, it was just a really beautiful experience. As soon as we got there, we had a parishioner say, "Here, take my pew," and she put us in the front row. And I mean, right away, with small churches, we're a very small church. A pew is a big deal to
Yeah.
to take. So right off the bat, we just felt very welcomed and very loved. We went downstairs afterwards for uh, uh, donuts or coffee and just to talk with the community. And right away, they were just so welcoming, and we just felt really at home there. So about a month later, we just became official members. And that, like I said, that was 10 years ago. And it was just really, really great place for us. And they have a sister church, St. Francis Cabrini in Hoxie. And so we did a lot of our school events or sports events, other church events too there. So it just worked out really well for our community. So that's how we kind of started there at St. Martin's.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
also, Kevin's family, some of his extended family has some ties there. His grandmother, Bonnie Heim, and his dad, Ronald Lager, both have got their first communions there. So it's pretty special to us to have that connection.
That is awesome. So I take it that you share a priest with Hoxie then?
Yes, yes, Father Vincent is our priest, and yes,
Okay.
he's been there just as long as we have. So
Okay.
it's been great.
Fantastic. So it seems like you know a bit about the church itself. I didn't even know about this until hearing about you coming on to talk about it. And so you can help me understand then the history of St. Martin's Church, and maybe help us to understand when we're talking about the renovation of it. How did it come to be and things like that first. So can you give us a little
Sure.
bit of a background in that?
Sure, yes. It was established in 1906, so it's 118 years old. But it did have it's a fair share of disasters, I guess, that hit. In 1908, a tornado completely mauled it down, and they had to rebuild. And I think a few other tornadoes came through, and some heavy rains and major winds, and just like kept hitting the church over and over again. And they even had a fire in the bell tower at one point, but they were able to put that out. But they rebuilt in 1931, and that's our current location. And it was rebuilt right over a hall that they used to have dances in. And so that hall today is now our hall that we go downstairs and share in community afterwards. But so it's still there today. Didn't have any more tornadoes, and we keep crossing our fingers that nothing else will happen. But each time there was a disaster, the parishioners just were so dedicated and kept care of the church, and they just kept rebuilding and kept keeping it up as best they could. And so it is a Spanish style church. And what I was told is that it's very similar to the church that's in Selden, and I believe that's Sacred Heart Church. And at the time, that was our sister church, and so that's why it was rebuilt in a Spanish way. And so the church actually is St. Martin's, which he's from France, and so that's a little confusing. You've got the patronage from France, but the Spanish style church. But St. Martin was named that because the current priest who built the church, it was his patronage. His name was Martin Smith, and his patronage was to St. Martin of Tours. So that's where we got that from. And I actually was learned too that the very first mass was in John Coster's home. I guess probably before the church, at one of the points when the church was being built. So that was pretty neat there. just over the years, it's been renovated a few times. Like obviously the 70s, updating things and the way they did in Vatican II after Vatican II. They've put on a new roof through the years. They've always kept up with the landscaping and the cemetery every year on a rain day. All the farmers just call each other and they come in and they just keep the cemetery up. And they actually just did it yesterday. So they're really great about just being a team and keeping the church in order the way it should be. So, and it is in the town of Seguin, Kansas, which is very, very small town. But in its day, it was actually bigger than Hoxie. And it's where the railroad went through. Kind of a funny story, how it got its name. People would come be working and they'd need a drink and they would say, where do we get a drink? And they would say, see Quinn to go get your drink. And so that's how it got the name Seguin.
Huh.
And it's just a beautiful little area. There's only about 12 people or so in the town of Seguin. But one of them, a couple of them are parishioners, and one of them is a sheep farmer. So it's just a beautiful scene of sheep, right next to this beautiful church and a beautiful cemetery. So it's really got a lot of charm to it. And yeah, so I guess that kind of brings us up to where it is today. Like in that current location, it's been there for 93 years.
Wow, that is absolutely wonderful. I think it's fantastic too that you guys are keeping it up, because we see a lot of these churches in these smaller areas, just kind of go by the wayside, and then they get closed, and then they just start to get dilapidated, that's always a shame. So to see that the community around there is helping to keep it up is awesome.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wonderful. I'm going to break really quickly to get back to our trivia question. So you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon, Come Follow Me. And we did not have a winner for our 12 o'clock question. So I'm going to ask that again. And if you think you know the answer, call into 785-621-4110, and you can give us your best answer. If you get it right, we will put your name into a drawing for a gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts here in Hayes. And that question is, what language was the Acts of the Apostles written in? Is it A, Latin, B, Hebrew, C, Aramaic, or D, Greek? A, Latin, B, Hebrew, C, Aramaic, or D, Greek? Ugh, I'm tongue-tied today. All right. So call 785-621-4110 with your guess. That is the same number that you can call and give us your pledge. We are on listening to Melanie Lager, and she is talking to us about St. Martin of Tours Parish in Seguin, Kansas. And we're getting ready to discuss some of the renovations that were done and how those came about. So, Melanie, let's get back to you and start understanding then that it seems like to me, are you one of the major people that started kind of the push to renovate the church this time?
Yeah, I guess so. I was on the parish council at the time.
Okay.
When this all started. So, I still am. But,
okay. So, what is it that kind of caused you to want to renovate the church then?
Well, actually, it was water because it had rained. And there was a leak through the bell tower, and it went into the confessional, and we came in, I think, for maybe a Tuesday mass, daily mass, and all the ceiling in the confessional was on the floor, and there was just some rain damage. So we all met for a parish council meeting and decided, hey, we should get this fixed. It's kind of a big deal. And but we've always had trouble with where we live on getting contractors to come out for just small jobs. And so we knew that. And so we kind of looked around the church and looked up and we thought, hey, maybe the main church ceiling needs replaced as well. So we just kind of started adding, and then the more you do that, the more it's kind of the domino effect. Well, look, these pews, they are really in bad shape. These are original to our church, and they really need refinished. There's scuffs, and they're just kind of they needed some care. And then you look at the flooring on the sanctuary; it's all carpeted. Really, we should have more of a tile, hard floor on the sanctuary area. And then, it just kind of snowballed from there. And we thought, well, since we're getting someone big out here, this is the time to do it. And so it just kind of fell into place that way. But we do joke that it kind of just started with some water, which is kind of neat too, because water is purifying, and you can kind of see the light. And we kind of saw the light in our church of how it really needed some new updates and care. And so that's kind of where we sat
So God,
to get started.
God really just said, pretty simply, all right, something needs to be done.
Yes, he did. And I think we were all okay with the confessional was kind of a 70s add-in, so it was paneling, and it did not really match the church. We have stucco walls, and everything is more of a Spanish style. Our altars were Romanesque style, and it just really didn't fit in. So it just felt like, oh, okay, this is a quick, easy thing we can fix, and also making it wheelchair accessible, things like that, which it wasn't before. So those things, it just kind of became really important. We have a few people that do come in from time to time that are in wheelchairs and in need, and they need to to have access to the confessional room as well. So there was a big sign, I guess, to us that like this really does need to happen. These things need fixed.
Wow. And so I'm looking at pictures. I had to pull it up on my phone really quick while you were talking here. But do you have then, it looks like you guys have a pretty nice altar there. Was that already there, or is that something that you guys added? Or
Yes, the back altar is original to the church, and that's like our favorite thing about the church, obviously. But we had a altar of sacrifice as well, which had originally been an altar, a side altar, a Marian side altar, and it was moved at one point to the center. And we really loved that altar as well, but it was just crumbling. It had seen its age, and it was also very small. It was only 4 feet wide. And Father, really was kind of desiring a little bit more room up there. So we had another one built to match our back altar, and it's just a little bit bigger. It's 5 feet wide now, and it's just like a perfect size now. And we took it to these amazing professionals in Tulsa, S.C. Ziegler Company, and they just did a fantastic job. And I mean, it lasted 100 years for us, and it's going to last another 100 years. Has a beautiful Last Supper. They just fixed all the little crumbling pieces that were on the altar. Maybe some water damage. There was a little bit of fire damage on there from a candle, I think, at one point. And we actually took on the top of it, there was a smaller cross, and we took that off and put a larger cross with a corpus on it. And it's probably, I think it's like 27 inches tall. And so it is just the highlight of the church, right? When you walk in, you can your eyes just go straight there. And it's turned into just a beautiful place to house our God.
Absolutely. As I said, I'm looking at this picture here, and I mean, you've got the tabernacle that's built into it. And I've always loved the old traditional altars, high altars, and my goodness, you've got a huge statue of Jesus and the Sacred Heart there. And I would recommend people to go and look at these pictures because it is beautiful. I mean, like you said, it draws your attention directly to the tabernacle. You cannot walk in and look at that and not be like, oh, yep, there he is. That.
Yes.
So I love that you guys have done that, and that you said you put a lot of restoration into it. That is absolutely wonderful. We're just going to take a very quick break here to congratulate Nancy Niermeyer, who won the trivia contest with the correct answer. So the question was, what language was the Acts of the Apostles written in? The correct answer is Greek. So congratulations to Nancy. We will get your name put in that drawing for that we will draw later on today for that gift certificate to Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. That's Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts here in Hayes. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon. We do have that Care-a-thon goal of $125,000, and we also have those matching funds, so that really helps us out. If you're listening to us right now, then I know that you think that this is important because it is important. We have 5 radio stations that we keep on the air, and that's why we have people like Melanie on today, is to be able to tell us about things that are going on in our diocese. Beautiful churches that, so I didn't even know that this church existed. I've never even really heard of Seguin before, but now I do. I'm seeing pictures, and someday I hope to be able to go out there when I'm out that way and go into the church. That's one of my favorite things to do, is go and look at these beautiful churches. But we're able to get that message out there and be able to hear these things and understand them because of these wonderful radio stations. So continue to partner with us, prayerfully ask God what he would like you to give, and call to 785-621-4110. I'm going to get back to speaking with Melanie because I'm excited to kind of keep talking about as you guys renovated this church. That's not a small task. What is it like to undertake a renovation of this scale?
Well, I guess we just kind of took it one step at a time, and we were all just really excited and willing. And so it really it didn't feel like work because it was so fun, because we just love our parish so much. But it just kind of all fell into place really easily. The first thing you have to do is you have to contact the diocese. We talked to Father Frank Cody and Ernie Armstrong, and kind of they got us in the direction we needed to go when we needed approval, and from them and the bishop, and even Father Cody came out and kind of walked through the church with us, and he saw the confessional, and he agreed, like, this needs fixed. This is in dire need. And then he just gave us really good tips and hints and ideas for how we can get our church kind of more in order, and kind of just fixed. And certain things were just kind of falling apart. Like the ceiling, a few tiles had fallen through, and just old water damage, stains. And he just gave us some really great tips there. So that's kind of where we start. You got to get the proper approvals, and then we start applying for grants, and just to see if we could have some help out there. We didn't have much luck with the grants, but that's okay, because we had just the most amazing and generous parishioners and friends of the church, and our sister church parishioners, who just really stepped in for us. And we also started a Facebook page. That was such a helpful tool. It just kept everyone updated, and we could just put pictures out. It got them excited. It got us excited. And then we were able to explain if something was moved around, why was it moved to this location, or why did we do this? And with the Catholic Church, there's always a reason for every single thing you do. And that was just so fun to be able to go through and learn all of that all together as a parish. And And so that was just the putting up a Facebook page, renovations page was a really cool, great thing that everyone really enjoyed. And the parish council, we just all kept meeting monthly, and then we contacted individuals in the parish that were good at certain things. Like one example is our friend Jeff Termunky. He had kind of helped renovate St. Francis Cabrini's church just 4 to 6 years before we did. And they had hired someone that came in who helped them with pledges and in order to get the finances there for you. And that person that they had hired, I think, had since moved on in some way. And so he just volunteered himself, and he said, I think I can do this for you guys. I think I can lead this up. And so he just stepped in and helped us with, contacting people to get funds to get the renovation. And then we had the design team, which consists of three individuals, Cheryl Oakes, Dana Gertis, and myself. We made such a great team and just built such great friendships through it. Cheryl has a background in interior design and education in it, and she just has the eye and understanding of how things should be. And we had Dana Gertis, who was like our finance person. She kept all the budget in order, and just like kind of she'd be the one you take the checks to or that sort of thing. And she also kept us on a practical side of, hey, this is where our parishioners are at. This is, if this maybe we have older people in the parish that need help. This area needs to be wider for better access, things like that. And then I came in with, I tried my hardest to come in with the liturgical side of things. And I have a brother-in-law who's a priest, and that was a very helpful tool too. If I ever had a question, we just wanted to make sure that we did everything liturgically correct, and that everything was done for a reason, and to bring it back to the educational side of why it needed to be kind of rethought in certain aspects.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
It really came together. It came together, and it was just everyone just came in and helped in the way that they were passionate about or could help. And just like I think you were talking with someone earlier about stewardship.
Yeah.
And that is the key word for this renovation, is everyone would just bring in what their talent was. We had one parishioner, Pat Hurl, donate his storage container. And so that's where we were able to store all of our things. We had another parishioner, Brian Bauman, he offered to use his farm 18-wheeler truck to haul all of our pews off to go get renovated to Hayes and bring them back. And the list goes on and on of just people. They just stood up. They knew what their talent was, and they shared it. And it was just really beautiful. And we had a great council. I just have bragged about them the whole time. Of course, you have your difference in opinions. I didn't get everything I wanted. So-and-so didn't get everything he wanted. But we all compromised so beautifully, and it was just a really great experience overall.
That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you here, as you were talking about stewardship and all kinds of things like that. First, can you help me to understand how many families do you guys have in that parish?
We have on the list 25 families.
Okay.
So it is not very big.
So when you say it's tiny, it's pretty tiny.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think at St. Nick's we have something like 690 families or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's a huge difference. And
wow.
that was different for me when I first came. I had only been in large parishes of thousands of people. And then, you go to college and those churches are always filled.
Uh-huh.
And then when I came to St. Martin's, it was my first time ever in a small parish. And
Uh-huh.
I remember thinking to myself, well, that was different. I don't know if I'll ever be back here. And then God said, oh yeah, and actually you're moving back here and you're going to fall in love with this beauty. Um,
That is so
so yeah,
awesome.
it's a very small church,
Yeah.
but quality families. On a normal mass day before the renovation, we were getting about 50 people every Sunday, and since the renovations, it's been anywhere from 60 to 90. So it's increased in attendees, which is really
Uh-huh.
great. And same with our Tuesday daily masses is also increased
That is
as well.
awesome. And I think part of that is, yeah, it's going to be different for every parish, but, they say in general, in a parish, big parishes, you have about like 7% of the parishioners are actually active within the parish. Within a
Hmm.
parish like that, it sounds like pretty much the whole parish was active.
Yes.
And that is, I think that's got to be a great blessing for a small parish, is because there aren't that many people. Everybody had to be involved and help out in some way to make this happen. And then, yeah, you're not just looking at the same 5 people doing everything. You're looking at everybody coming together to make sure that this project sees its final end. Does that kind of add up to what you saw?
Oh yes, definitely. Everyone is involved, and we really are just this little family, and it's really great too. If you need to go out of town, it's really easy. Never have any issue of someone taking your spot for things, and sometimes you get um, like double booked. You're singing and you have to bring up the guest or lector and so that's happened a few times, but it just works out. Like
Uh-huh.
my husband was singing one time, and then we forgot to look at the bulletin, and we're also he's supposed to read as well, and so he just had our son Rock go up there, and he read. So it gives a lot of opportunity to people to step up, and not being the same for people doing everything. It's just all the responsibilities are shared just really well. So it works out great.
That is wonderful. We are talking with Melanie Lager about the renovation of St. Martin of Tours in Seguin. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. This hour, we need to start getting some of those pledges in. I know there's got to be some people out there listening that are on their lunch break. Call in and let's get those donations rolling. Let's get those phones a ringing. The first caller that we get that makes $100 donation or more this hour is going to get a book that has been given compliments of Highland and Huguenin. They are the owners and funeral directors of Hayes Memorial Chapel, and just wonderful people. If you need to deal with them because of a loss of a loved one, they are so wonderful to work with. And this just kind of shows the people that they are, that they think that this is so important that they want to give something out during it. So call in, give us that donation. And even if you're not the first person to give $100 or more, whatever you can give helps us out. It helps keep us on the airwaves. We do have those 5 different stations. And although it's not cheap to run them, we know that this is God's mission and he takes care of us. And the way he does that is through people like you. 785-621-4110. I also want to get to our second trivia question of the hour. So our second trivia question, you're going to call that same number, 785-621-4110. And if you get it right, we'll put you in the drawing for a gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. So get ready, get your phones ready. Here's your question. Who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? Is it A, Matthew, B, Mark, C, Paul, D, Luke? Who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? Matthew, Mark, Paul, or Luke? Call 785-621-4110. Also, call that number to give us your pledge. Help us to get to that $125,000 mark. We still have those matching funds. That's such a blessing that we have those matching funds. Let's use them up, folks. Let's get them done. Those people who give them, they want nothing more for you to use their money. That's pretty awesome. How often do you just get to spend other people's money to help bring about God's kingdom? Let's do that. 785-621-4110. Let's get back to talking with Melanie Lauder and the St. Martin of Tours Church and the renovations that they did. Melanie, before we broke there, you had mentioned all these different people that were involved. And it does my heart very well to hear also that you brought your brother-in-law in as a priest to kind of help you liturgically do things. Because one thing that I know that kind of went by the wayside is when churches were being built from about late 60s on, there are lots of churches that started putting the tabernacle in a different room or somewhere else, and not out of necessity. It just kind of, they did it. And here with your guys' church, you really put the tabernacle back front and center where it's actually said that it is supposed to be. Is that correct?
Yes. And it actually was always there.
Oh, fantastic.
Like in our case, thankfully,
yes,
it did not move. But we did have other things that we learned along the way of that weren't necessarily in the best place, that had been maybe moved. For example, I had listened to this wonderful podcast with the liturgy guys, and they were doing a podcast on the baptismal font and its placement. And that's actually something we did move right in front, or in the back, right when you walk in from the narthex, and and you see this brand new baptismal font that we had made. It was a wooden one which was made by a craftsman, a great craftsman of his time in the 70s, a parishioner that had done a lot of the woodworking in the church, and everyone really just great person, and he gave so much to the church. But the baptismal font was kind of wooden, and it didn't match the rest of the ambo or the altar. And from day one, I really wanted that to be a marble look, because there's just the three principal liturgical pieces that are important in the church, and it needs to be elevated. It's not just another pew that would be fine wooden. It needed to be elevated, and because right as you walk in, you need to be reminded that you're leaving your sin at the door, and the baptismal font is you have to purify yourself before you make your way up to the altar, and then listen to the word. All these 3 points, pieces, are just so critical to be elevated more than the rest of the church. And that's something we really just wanted to go for, is like bringing the significance of how beautiful and important these sacraments are. And so that was one thing that we wanted to bring that to light. And
yeah, that's a great thing, because very often as you know, the holy water bowl kind of becomes the clock in, clock out. And that's unfortunate. I'm not saying that the baptismal font right up front fixes that, but it does help, because you're right, it elevates the understanding of, this is not any ordinary thing, and it's right front and center. You have to see it. And it should bring back then the understanding of your own baptism, and the cleansing of your sin. And so then when you're signing yourself with the cross and the holy water, what are those promises I've made at my baptism or my parents made for me and that I now remake, and so I love that. I love that you guys did that to help, yes, elevate our senses toward God. And I think that's one good way that you guys did that.
Yeah, and I also love how they had mentioned like it's in the way, like it needs to be in the way because we have a very small church and physically church and it is tight in places, but it was so important for us to put it right there, right when you walk in, so it can be in the way so that you can do that mind process of, oh yeah, why is this here? What is it? And you just start asking yourself questions. Oh, what does this water mean? And so it's just really neat to to be able to add those things to our church that we didn't really have before.
That is wonderful. I want to break back in really quickly. I'm going to read the trivia question one more time. So like I said, I know there's some people out there on your lunch break. Listen up, get ready to call in 785-621-4110. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. And here is your second question for the 12 o'clock hour. Who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? Is it A, Matthew, B, Mark, C, Paul, or D, Luke? Who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? A, Matthew, B, Mark, C, Paul, or D, Luke? 785-621-4110. We also have that book to give away to the first caller who donates $100. And that book is Be Not Troubled, a 6-day personal retreat with Father Jean-Pierre de Caussade. And that was given to us by Heil and Ann Huguenin, the owners of and funeral directors of Hayes Memorial Chapel. All right. Who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? 785-621-4110. Back to speaking with Melanie Logner, and we're talking about St. Martin of Tours in Seguin, Kansas, and the renovation there. So obviously, as you're going through the renovation, it can't all just be easy and rainbows and everything and sunshine. There's probably some rainy days. There's probably some tough days. Did you guys run into any obstacles as you were going through this renovation?
Oh no, not at all. Nothing. I'm just kidding. We did. We actually didn't. We had very few obstacles though, or issues that couldn't be dealt with. One was we actually did not realize how bad a shape our altar were until we had gotten into the renovation, and we just started really looking up close. And so we had not budgeted that in, and so things like that, your budget went up from the very beginning. We just made a decision as the council that this has to be restored. This is our main piece that we just have to take care of. And so that was an obstacle and things coming up that we weren't expecting and weren't in the original budget. Another thing was when we were fixing some things downstairs in the basement and the paneling walls from the 70s came down, the construction team discovered we had some foundation issues, and so that again wasn't in the budget and the original budget, and so that was another thing that you just kind of cross your fingers and hope that the funds will come in, some those that you hadn't planned for, and but it's another thing, like we have to fix this. And that was one of the beautiful things about some of the older or parishioners that have been there over 50 years. They said, we have to restore this for the future generations. This is our gift to them because this is so important. And so those really were the main issues we came from, or that we encountered. Of course, you had things like the paint colors. Some people wanted it this color or that color, but those are just little small details. But overall, we had a really great. We didn't have too many obstacles, I would say, that weren't able to be dealt with.
Okay, so when obviously when you budget for something and you're like, ooh, that's going to cost more. Did you just find that you had a great outpouring of the public to help out in that manner? Or how did you guys overcome that?
Yes, we did. And it was all just so Holy Spirit led. I mean, we would discuss it at a parish council meeting, and then the next day some more funds would just show up and come in, and by other parishioners who had heard about what was going on. And it just really was, the entire project was so Holy Spirit led, and we got goosebumps so many times. Just like one example, at the very beginning, Cheryl had picked out this beautiful bronze penny tile, and then we really liked it. And then we look up close to the altar, and we found that same penny tile right behind the Sacred Heart or the Jesus statue. And so it just felt very inspired that these picks and things were made, these choices in design or whatnot, and then it would come together later, that it would all just work out and be the exact match. Another example was our tabernacle door. It was so tattered, or I'm trying to look for the right word, tarnished, that we thought it was a brass tabernacle door. And when we sent it off with this FC Ziegler company, and it came back, it was this beautiful high polished bronze. And we had ordered all the new metalware in bronze, and it was an exact match.
Wow.
And I mean, 100%. And we had just had no idea. So we just felt really guided in all the little details and the big details along the way. We use the IHS symbol in a lot of our things. When we made our new ambo, that's the symbol that was put on there, which represents Jesus Christ himself. And come to find out, through the renovation, we found out this podium in the back was an original ambo, and then looking up close, it had the IHS on it. Just little things. It just felt like it was all really meant to be, and beautifully led by the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. That is so wonderful to hear. I want to break in and congratulate Jackie Brown. She is the correct answer. The question was, who wrote the Acts of the Apostles? Correct answer there is Luke, the same guy who wrote the Gospel, Luke. All right. We are speaking with Melanie Lager, talking about following God's call to renovate his church of St. Martin of Tours and Seguin. We still need to get that $100 donor this hour so that we can give you that book of a 6-day personal retreat with Father Jean-Pierre de Caussade. And that is compliments of Heil and Ann Huguenin. Call in 785-621-4110. As we get back here speaking with Melanie, it would be, I guess I'm a very curious person. And so I like to go into old places and look around, and see things that you don't generally see. As you guys were renovating your church, did you guys come across any old historical things or find any things that you didn't know were there or anything like that?
Yes, actually, we found the most incredible item that none of us ever in our lives would have expected. When we sent off our altar to get restored, the inside of the tabernacle, the satin fabric in there had kind of fallen away a little, and so they were repairing the inside of the tabernacle as well. And when they pulled it out, they found this letter that it was a little hard to read, but it was a letter from 1930s. Oh, wow. And it was from a sister who had been at our parish in helping take care of the parish, that she had written, and it was a letter to Jesus. And we tried our best to see what it said, because like I said, it was written in pencil, and it was kind of hard to read, but I can read it real quick if there's time.
Oh, absolutely.
It said, "Dearest Jesus, bless Father Zinkowski always for the noble work he is doing. Bless these good people always with the blessings of this earth, and may they all remain true and loyal Catholics of your true church. Bless little Josephine and myself Sister Lucinda, who have put up the decoration from April 18th, 1936. Bless also Jesus, we love thee. And then it has their signatures. And we just thought that was so beautiful to find. It it was just so, it wasn't meant for us, but it was meant for Jesus and to pray for us. It wasn't meant for us to find, I mean. So that was just a really beautiful gem, and just gives you chills to think about their faith and their love for the parish way back then.
Yeah.
And to be able to share that with them, it was just really awesome. So we put it back, and it's still there, and the whole parish, kind of knows about it now, and can just think of those special prayers that were said. And then we also have 3 relics. A lot of the we have 3 relics in the altar stones, and we don't have the paperwork for them. I was recommended to call Father Peter O'Donnell, and he tried and did as much research as he could as well, and couldn't find who the relics belong to.
Uh-huh.
We're thinking that the paperwork got lost in one of the tornadoes, but we tried our best, but it's still very special to us to know that there are possibly 3 different saints there with us in the church, and that symbolic meaning. That's another thing that we would put on the Facebook post of, like, why do we have relics in our church and in our altar, and just, I guess that was one of my favorite things of the renovation was our church could blow down again tomorrow, but we learned so much through this renovation that we would have the tools and the faith to rebuild again, and that's what I feel like the renovation was like most important for all of us as parish members and community members, is that we're the church, and if we learn this greatness, like, we can always rebuild. And it's just really beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful, because you're talking about a wonderful soul of a lady. I mean, I don't know her personally, but it sure seems like it by her letter, clear back in the 1930s. You've got saints there. You've got you in this generation. I mean, so we're looking at that. Just that's why we are the church, because we have those in heaven joined with us on earth. Praying for those in purgatory. That's why we are who we are. And so it brings it together, all those different ages of people, to remind us it's what they did, and it was their sacrifice that brought us to this point. And now it's your guys' sacrifice that people will be able to see 50 years, 100 years from now, and be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, we actually have all of that now on record as to what they did, and pictures and things like that. And I think maybe that's a good place then to ask you really quickly, if people wanted to see pictures or kind of see what you were saying, what is your Facebook page, or where would they go?
It's a St. Martin's Renovation page on Facebook. It is a private group, but if you just ask to be invited, I will accept you really easily, and you can view our entire process there from the very beginning. We started this in April, when we were adding air conditioner to the church. It had been 40 years since the heater had been replaced. And so that was all in April. And then it has all the way till September, when we started all the major construction part. It has just every post along the way, and you can go through and view it. And it has all this historical information in there as well. So it's a really great place to kind of look and see the history on this one particular church. So St. Martin's Renovation page on Facebook.
Fantastic.
If you just Google that in there.
And so you guys are completely done with the renovations, or almost, or?
We are just seconds away from being done. Our last thing is to get our doors in. We had ordered metal doors, and those should be in this week. and just a few other little touches here. We needed to add a few more handrails to go downstairs, and but besides that, we are pretty much done, and it's looking great. It's it's all ready. So
Fantastic. So are you guys planning then a church blessing when everything is completely done, or?
yes, the bishop is coming to bless our new altar and our church on May 26th at 4 p.m. And there
Okay.
will be a meal to follow in the basement. And everyone is invited. We're hoping some of the priests in the area get to come as well, because it'll be in the afternoon. And yeah, so it's going to be May 26th at 4 p.m. And we're already meeting and getting everything planned, and getting excited for that big day.
Fantastic. And is there, as we get ready to leave today, is there anything else that you would like our listening audience to know before we finish up?
Well, I would just say, one, I did want to give a huge shout out to Cheryl Oakes, our main design team leader. She was just a lovely, just true gem, and incredibly talented. She's so dedicated to our Lord and serving Him and the best she could. And she just spent night and day out there, cleaning and always painting, and just, we were just so thankful for her. And the whole renovation couldn't have come together without her. And I guess I would just say that we're just so honored to be a part of this renovation, and to make it a true beautiful place of worship. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're just very excited, and we hope that people come and get to see St. Martin's, and get to come to Mass there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much for helping to repair God's house in a literal way. And so it reminds me of that story of St. Francis. But we really appreciate your time, Melanie. We really thank you so very much for being here and taking the time to talk about it today. Once again, where do people find your Facebook page?
St. Martin's Renovation.
St. Martin's Renovations. All right. Well, thank you so very much. God bless you. Keep praying for us, and we will be praying for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We have a Care-a-thon goal this time of $125,000. You can help us with that goal in a couple of ways. One, more than anything, we need your prayers. But two, we definitely also need the dollars to help keep us on the air. We've got those 5 different stations